The security guard's radio crackled again, sharp and impatient, and the sound made every head in the city hall lobby turn a little. The uniformed officer stood too close to the woman by the brochure stand, blocking her path like a door that refused to open. His hand hovered near the strap across his chest, not threatening, but certain. Certain the rules were his to enforce. Her phone kept vibrating in her coat pocket, buzzing against her hip like an anxious heartbeat. She didn't pull it out. She didn't want to look down and give anyone the satisfaction of thinking she was scared. A cold Starbucks cup sat on the edge of the window ledge beside her, the lid pushed slightly sideways like it had been opened and closed too many times. The coffee inside had gone lukewarm a long time ago. "I'm asking you one last time," the officer said, voice low but loud enough for the people pretending not to listen. "Ma'am, you can't be here without an appointment. You need to leave the building." The woman's jaw tightened. Her eyes stayed on the marble floor, on a tiny wet spot where someone's umbrella had dripped, on the smear of salt from boots that had tracked in winter. She swallowed once, slowly, like she was trying to keep her words from shaking. "I'm not causing a problem," she said. "I'm just waiting." The officer glanced at the clipboard in his hand, then at her again, like the paper was more trustworthy than her face. In the far corner, a teenage intern in an oversized blazer stared at the scene, frozen like the lobby had turned into a video that would get posted before lunch. A man in a suit lifted his phone halfway, then lowered it, unsure if recording would make him a hero or just another coward with data. The woman finally reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. The screen was lit with a single name and a missed call count that made her chest ache. Moem. 7 missed calls. She stared at it for half a second, then locked the screen again without answering. She lifted her chin, looked the officer in the eyes, and said very quietly, "Please don't do this in front of everyone." The officer's face didn't change. "Then walk outside with me." And that was the moment the elevator dinged behind them.
Part 1. The Weight of Reality.
In Cleveland, winter had a way of making everything look tired. The sky stayed gray like it had given up. The sidewalks were stained with slush and old salt. Cars moved slow, their tires hissing on wet roads, and people walked with their shoulders up as if they were always bracing for one more bad thing to happen. The woman in the City Hall lobby was named Alana Brooks. She was 38, medium height, neat braids tucked under a simple wool hat, and the kind of face that told the truth even when she wanted it not to. She didn't dress like she was trying to impress anyone. Just a dark coat, sensible boots, and a canvas tote bag that looked like it had been through too many ordinary days. If someone had asked her why she was there, she would have given the simplest answer. She came because she had to.
But the real reasons are deeper, under everything else, under the coat and the calm voice and the steady eyes.
It sat in the part of her that was always doing math. Rent, gas, groceries, her mother's prescriptions, the balance on her credit card, the student loan she'd stopped looking at because it made her stomach hurt. She could do the numbers in her head without trying, like some people memorized songs. She knew exactly how close she lived to the edge. She also knew how quickly that edge could disappear. Alana lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment on the west side, close enough to the highway that she could hear the low constant rush of cars at night. Her son, Malik, was 13 and already taller than her in that awkward way that made him bump into doorframes. His voice was changing. Sometimes he sounded like a kid, and sometimes he sounded like someone she didn't recognize yet. Her mother, Denise, lived 15 minutes away in a rented duplex with creaky stairs and a draft in the kitchen that never got fixed. Denise had been the kind of woman who used to sing while she cooked, loud and off-key, and make jokes about everything, even bills. Now she got tired just walking from the couch to the bathroom, and her laughter came in short bursts like it cost something. 3 weeks earlier, Alana's phone had rung while she was at her desk at the non-profit where she worked. She handled community programs, the kind that always had more need than funding. The caller ID said, MetroHealth, and she'd answered with a tight, polite hello, like she already knew. "It's your mom," the nurse said. She's okay, but we need you to come in. Alana remembered how the office around her had kept moving, keyboards clicking, phones ringing, co-workers talking about weekend plans. She remembered staring at a sticky note on her monitor that said, "Donor follow-up," and thinking, "Not now, please not now." Denise had been sitting upright in the hospital bed when Alana arrived, trying to act like she was fine. Her cheeks were paler than usual. Her hands looked thinner. When Alana asked what happened, Denise had waved it off like it was nothing, but her eyes wouldn't hold Alana's for long. "It's just stress," Denise said.
I'm not 20 anymore.
Later, the doctor explained it in a calm voice with careful words, the way people talk when they don't want to scare you but they need you to understand. Denise's heart wasn't doing what it should. They needed to adjust her medication. They needed to watch her. And Denise needed to stop pretending everything was fine just because she didn't want to be a burden. After that day, Alana started sleeping lighter. Every time her phone buzzed, her body reacted before her mind caught up. She kept it on the nightstand, screen face up, like she could prevent bad news by watching for it. She also started showing up for her job like she was made of glass. She smiled in meetings. She wrote grant proposals. She emailed partners. She listened to people talk about community impact, while she wondered if she could afford a car repair if the engine light turned from warning into disaster. There was one more thing Alana didn't talk about much, not even to her closest friend, Tasha. It was the thing that made her feel both proud and embarrassed at the same time. 2 years earlier, after a long stretch of late nights and longer weekends, Alana had run for the city council seat in her ward. People had told her she should. People had said she was good with policy, good with people, good at showing up. She believed them. She wanted to believe the city could be better if someone like her had a say. She lost. Not by a landslide, but enough. Enough that it stung every time she drove past the neighborhood rec center where she'd given a speech about safe streets and school funding and fair housing. Enough that it made her question whether she had been naive. After that, she kept working. She stayed involved. She attended meetings. She wrote letters. She learned which doors opened easily and which ones stayed shut unless you had the right name, the right connections, the right kind of confidence. And now, on this bitter morning, she had come back to City Hall because her mother's name had appeared on a notice that didn't make sense. Denise Brooks, past due, final notice. The paper had been tucked into Denise's mail like it was nothing, like it wasn't a threat. It had to do with a property tax assistance program Denise had been approved for years ago, the one that kept her from falling behind. According to the notice, there was a problem with her paperwork. According to the notice, the city could place a lien. Alana had called the number on the letter and gotten a voicemail box that was full. She had emailed and gotten an auto-reply. She had visited a local office and been told to try downtown. So she came downtown. She took off work. She borrowed time she didn't have. She walked into City Hall carrying a folder with copies of everything. Denise's ID, Denise's lease, Denise's approval letter, bank statements, prescription receipts, anything that proved her mother was a real person living a real life. She dressed like herself, because she didn't want to play costume games with her own dignity. At the front desk, the clerk barely looked up. "Do you have an appointment?"
No, Alana said.
"I've been trying to reach someone for weeks." The clerk pointed toward a row of chairs. "You can wait. They're busy today." Alana waited. Minutes turned into an hour. Her coffee cooled. People walked by with lanyards and confident steps. She watched doors open for others and close for her. She checked her phone and saw the missed calls from her mother stacking up like blocks she didn't know how to carry. When Alana finally stood to ask again, that was when the officer approached. Not shouting.
Not dragging her.
Just stepping in front of her like she'd crossed a line by existing in the wrong place for too long. And now, in the lobby, with strangers watching and her mother calling and her own patience stretched thin, Alana felt something dangerous rise inside her. Not anger exactly. Something more tired than that. Something that wanted to give up. The elevator dinged again behind them, and Alana heard footsteps. The officer turned his head, distracted for half a second. A woman stepped out first, in a navy coat and a simple scarf, followed by two aides carrying folders and talking quietly. The woman's face was familiar in a way Alana couldn't place at first. She looked like she hadn't slept enough either. She looked like she knew what pressure felt like. The officer straightened a little, like the air changed around her. The woman from the elevator looked toward the scene, eyes narrowing as she took it in. Then her gaze landed on Alana, and something softened there, quick and real, like recognition.
Alana's phone buzzed again.
8 missed calls. Alana's throat tightened. She didn't move. She didn't know if she should speak or stay silent. She didn't know if the next thing she did would protect her mother or make everything worse. The woman from the elevator took one step forward. "Is there a problem here?" she asked. The woman's voice wasn't loud, but it carried in a way that made the lobby feel smaller. Conversations nearby stalled. The officer turned fully toward her, shoulders squaring, instinctively respectful. "There's no issue, ma'am," he said quickly. "Just a visitor without an appointment." The woman looked at him, then at Alana. Not with suspicion, not with judgment.
Just attention.
The kind that made you feel seen even when you wished you weren't. Alana hated how her chest tightened under that look. She hated how close she felt to tears, how exposed she suddenly felt standing there with her folder clutched like a shield. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Years of learning when to speak and when to stay quiet pressed down on her at once. The woman nodded once, slow. "I see," she said. Then, to Alana, "Are you okay?" It was a simple question. Too simple. That's what made it dangerous. Alana felt the answer rise up before she could stop it.
Not the polite one. Not the safe one.
The real one. She swallowed hard. "I just need 5 minutes with someone who can actually help," she said. Her voice shook despite her effort. "I've tried calling. I've tried emailing. This is about my mom."
The word mom cracked something open.
Alana hated that too. The officer shifted his weight. "Ma'am, this isn't the place for." The woman lifted a hand, not sharply, just enough. The officer stopped talking. "What's your name?" the woman asked Alana.
Alana Brooks.
The woman repeated it quietly, like she was committing it to memory. "Okay, Alana.
Come walk with me."
The officer blinked. "Ma'am, I've got her," the woman said, already turning toward the hallway that led past the lobby. It wasn't a command. It was an assumption. For a second, Alana didn't move. Years of being told where she could and couldn't go had trained her body to hesitate. She looked at the officer, at the interns still frozen near the wall, at the people pretending to check their phones. Then she followed. They walked side by side down a wide hallway lined with framed photos of past mayors, past moments, past promises. The floor echoed under their steps. The aides trailed behind at a respectful distance, murmuring to each other, but not interrupting.
Alana's phone buzzed again.
She stopped walking. "I'm sorry," she said, already reaching for it. "It's my mom." "Take it," the woman said. Alana answered, turning slightly away. "Mom."
Denise's voice came through sin and breathless. "Where are you? I've been calling you. I got another letter today."
"I know," Alana said. "I'm at City Hall right now." "What?"
Denise sounded scared now.
"Why are you down there? I told you not to make a fuss."
Alana closed her eyes. "I'm not making a fuss.
I'm just trying to fix it." There was a pause.
"Baby," Denise said softly. "I don't want you getting in trouble over me." Alana felt the familiar achieve in her eyes.
You're not trouble, she said.
You're my mom.
When she hung up, her hands were shaking. She shoved the phone back into her pocket like it was burning her. I'm sorry, she said again, turning back.
The woman shook her head.
Don't be. They stopped near a glass-walled conference room. Inside, a long table sat empty. Chairs pushed in neatly like they were waiting for a meeting that hadn't started yet. What's going on? The woman asked, leaning back against the wall instead of standing over Alana. It was a small thing. It mattered.
Alana hesitated.
She wasn't used to being asked like that. Usually people asked with conditions attached, with impatience hiding underneath. She took a breath and explained.
De assistance programme.
The notice. The unanswered calls. Her mom's health. The fear of losing something they barely held onto in the first place. She didn't dramatize it. She didn't have to. The facts did enough on their own. The woman listened without interrupting. When Alana finished, she nodded slowly. That shouldn't have happened, she said. At least not without someone explaining it.
Alana let out a humorless laugh.
That's what I thought too. The woman studied her for a moment. You ran for council a few years back, didn't you?
Alana stiffened.
Yeah. I remember, the woman said. You talked about housing stability. You talked about families slipping through cracks. Alana felt heat rush to her face. I lost. You didn't disappear, the woman said. That counts. Alana didn't know what to say to that. No one had ever framed it that way before. The woman straightened. Here's what we're going to do, she said. We're going to get someone from housing and someone from finance in this room. We're going to look at your mom's file together. And if there's a mistake, we'll fix it. Alana's chest tightened again, this time in a different way.
Hope felt dangerous.
She didn't trust it easily anymore. Why are you helping me? She asked before she could stop herself.
The woman met her eyes.
Because this is literally my job, she said, with a faint, tired smile. And because I've been on the other side of that desk before. One of the aides cleared her throat gently. Governor, we're running late. The word hit the air like something dropped. Alana froze. The woman didn't look at her aide. She kept her eyes on Alana. We'll catch up, she said. Alana felt the hallway tilt slightly, like her sense of balance had shifted. Governor. The officer's certainty in the lobby replayed in her head. The clipboard. The rule book. The assumption. She thought of the way she'd been asked to leave. The governor pushed open the conference room door. Come on, she said. Let's sit. As Alana stepped inside, folder still clutched in her hands, she realized her heart was pounding harder than it had in years. Not because everything was fixed. Not because it was over. But because for the first time in a long while, someone with real power had stopped long enough to listen. And she wasn't sure what that meant yet. The conference room felt too quiet once the door closed. The kind of quiet that made Alana suddenly aware of every small sound.
The hum of the lights.
The faint buzz of her phone even when it wasn't ringing. The soft scrape of a chair leg as the governor pulled one out and sat down across from her. Alana stayed standing for a second, unsure where to put herself. Then she sat, careful, folding her hands on the table so no one would see them shake. 2 staff members joined them a minute later, both carrying thick folders and laptops. They nodded politely to Alana, their eyes already scanning screens, names, numbers. This was familiar ground for them. For Alana, it felt like stepping into traffic. Okay, the governor said. Let's take a look. They went through the documents one by one.
Denise's application.
Her approval letter. A note entered into the system 6 months earlier, flagged but never resolved. A missing verification that had never been requested. A deadline that had passed without anyone noticing the error. The words blurred together after a while. Alana followed along as best she could, but her mind kept drifting. She kept thinking about the lobby. About how close she had come to being walked outside and sent home with nothing but another apology she didn't need. "This is on us," one of the staffers said finally, voice careful. The file shouldn't have been marked delinquent. Alana felt something twist inside her chest. Relief tried to surface, but it bumped into something heavier. "So it was a mistake," she said. "Yes," the staffer replied. "It looks like it." There it was. The answer she had been chasing for weeks. The thing that should have made her feel better. But instead, Alana felt tired.
Bonnet tired.
The kind that didn't lift just because someone admitted they were wrong. The governor leaned forward slightly. "We'll correct it today," she said. "Your mom won't lose her assistance." Alana nodded, because that was the appropriate response. Because gratitude was expected. Because this was a win. "Thank you," she said, and she meant it. But the room didn't feel lighter. Not yet. The staffers excused themselves to make calls and update the system, leaving Alana and the governor alone again.
The door clicked shut softly.
"You okay?" the governor asked. Alana laughed, a short sound that surprised even her. "I should be," she said.
"This is good news."
"But," the governor prompted. Alana stared down at the table. At a faint scratch in the wood that someone had tried and failed to polish out. She thought about her mom sitting at her kitchen table, sorting mail with slow hands. She thought about Malik doing homework at the counter, asking what was for dinner. She thought about how many times she had told herself to just push through. "I don't know how many people don't make it to this room," Alana said quietly. The governor didn't interrupt. "I knew how to advocate," Alana continued. "I knew the language.
I knew the system.
And I still almost got sent away. If you hadn't walked out of that elevator." Her voice trailed off. She didn't finish the sentence because she didn't want to imagine it. The governor sat back, her expression tightening just a little. "That's the part that keeps me up at night," she said. Alana looked up then. Really looked at her. Not as a title. Not as a symbol. Just as a woman who looked tired in a way that felt familiar. "I used to think," Alana said slowly, "that if I just worked harder, learned more, stayed calm, it would protect me. That it would be enough. And now?" the governor asked. "And now I'm not sure," Alana said. "Because it still felt like I was begging. And I hate that feeling." The governor nodded. "Power does that," she said. "Even when it's quiet." They sat in that truth together for a moment. Alana felt something shift inside her, something she had been avoiding for a long time. She realized how much of her energy had gone into proving she belonged in rooms like this. How much she had swallowed to keep things moving. How tired she was of measuring herself by how well she endured. "I ran for office because I thought I could change things," Alana said. "When I lost, I told myself it was fine, that I could still help from the outside. But part of me stopped believing my voice mattered." The governor watched her closely. "It still does."
Alana shook her head.
"Today, it mattered because of who you are. Not because of who I am." The words hung between them, heavy and honest. "That doesn't mean your voice is small," the governor said. "It means the system is." Alana felt tears finally slip free, hot and quiet. She didn't wipe them right away. She was tired of pretending they weren't there. "I don't want special treatment," she said. "I just want fairness to not depend on luck." "I know," the governor said. There was a knock at the door. One of the staffers stepped in, smiling. "It's resolved," she said. "The notice is withdrawn. We're sending written confirmation today." Alana let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Her shoulders dropped. The immediate crisis was over. But the breaking point had already happened. Not in the lobby. Not with the officer. Right here. In the understanding that surviving wasn't the same as being okay. As they stood to leave, the governor paused. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Sure. What are you going to do next?"
Alana hesitated.
She honestly didn't know. The old answers felt wrong now. Going back to quiet endurance didn't fit anymore. "I think," she said slowly, "I'm going to stop shrinking my expectations just to survive." The governor smiled, small but real. "That sounds like a start." As Alana walked back toward the elevator, folder lighter in her hands, she felt changed in a way she couldn't fully name yet. Not fixed.
Not triumphant.
But awake. The ride down in the elevator was silent. Alana stood with her back against the cool metal wall, the folder resting against her coat like it finally belonged there. The numbers above the door ticked down one by one.
No dramatic music.
No speech. Just the soft hum of machinery doing what it was supposed to do. When the doors opened, the lobby looked the same as it had before.
The same marble floor.
The same brochures. The same security desk. But Alana felt different moving through it, like she had shifted slightly out of alignment with the version of herself who had walked in earlier that morning. The officer was still there. He glanced up when he saw her, his expression changing, uncertain. He didn't say anything. Neither did she. There was nothing left to prove. Outside, the cold hit her face hard and clean. She inhaled deeply, the kind of breath that filled her lungs all the way down. Her phone buzzed again in her pocket. This time, she answered immediately. "Mom," she said. "Oh, thank God," Denise said. "Are you okay?" "I'm okay," Alana replied. And for the first time that day, it felt mostly true. "It's fixed. The notice was a mistake. They're sending confirmation." There was a pause on the line. Alana could hear Denise breathing, steady but emotional. "I hate that you had to do all that," Denise said quietly. Alana looked up at the gray sky, at the way the light bounced off the glass buildings downtown. "I don't," she said. "I just wish it didn't take so much." They hung up after a few more words, the kind that didn't need to be fancy. Alana stood on the sidewalk for a moment longer, watching people hurry past, each of them carrying something invisible. She stopped at the coffee shop across the street, more out of habit than desire. Inside, it was warm and smelled like burnt espresso and sugar. She ordered the same drink she always did. When the barista handed it to her, fresh and hot this time, Alana wrapped both hands around the cup and let the warmth seep in.
On the drive home, traffic crawled.
She didn't mind. Her mind replayed the day in pieces. The lobby. The elevator. The word governor hanging in the air. But what stayed with her most wasn't the reveal. It was the listening. The moment someone with power had paused long enough to take her seriously. At home, Malik was at the kitchen table, headphones on, tapping his pencil against a notebook. He looked up when she walked in. "Hey," he said. "Did you fix Grandma's thing?" "Yeah," Alana said, setting her bag down. "It's handled." He nodded, relieved, then went back to his work like kids do, trusting the adults to carry what they couldn't yet. Alana watched him for a second longer than usual. She thought about the world he was growing into. About what she wanted him to learn from watching her. That night, after dinner and dishes and checking Denise's messages one more time, Alana sat alone on the couch with her laptop open. The screen glowed in the dim living room. She stared at a blank document longer than she expected to. Then she started typing. Not a campaign announcement. Not a big declaration. Just notes. Things she had seen. Things she knew were broken. Names of people she trusted. Ideas that scared her a little, which felt like a good sign. She didn't tell herself she was going to change the world. She didn't promise herself a win. She just allowed the possibility that her voice didn't have to disappear because the system was heavy. Before she shut the laptop, she checked her email one last time. There it was.
A simple mensaje from the city, confirming the correction.
No apology. No explanation. Just proof. She forwarded it to her mom. Then she closed the screen. Later, lying in bed, Alana listened to the familiar sounds of her building settling for the night.
A neighbor's TV struck the wall. A car door slamming outside.
Life continuing, imperfect and stubborn. She thought about how close she had come to walking away that morning. How easy it would have been to accept another quiet loss. And she thought about the small win she carried now. Not just the paperwork, but the clarity. Fairness shouldn't depend on coincidence. Dignity shouldn't depend on who happens to walk by. And self-worth shouldn't shrink just to make survival easier. Alana didn't know exactly what came next. But she knew this much. She wasn't done showing up. And somewhere out there, she knew, someone else was standing in a lobby, holding a folder, hoping someone would listen.